Good morning, traders. Chris Buss here with Traders Profit Compass with your morning look at markets for Monday, June 28th. Taking a quick look at futures, they're absolutely flat as a pancake, nothing going on. On the economic front today, actually not a lot going on there either. We've got the Dallas Fed, I think at 10 o'clock, but other than that, not a whole lot going on. There are a lot of Fed speakers this week. I think we've got 2 today and then basically 2 or 3 every day this week. But later on in the week, we've got an important OPEC meeting on Thursday that should have a lot to say about at least the near to medium term outlook on oil, which I think is going to be key. And also we've got a big jobs report on Friday to see how June played out. So those are going to be big things to look forward to at the end of the week. And on the topic of oil, for those of you that aren't familiar, there's a very high correlation between the price of oil and the S&P. So with oils and SPY at the highs, you want to see that continue if you're a bull. If for some reason oil gets the rug pulled out and starts to follow the other commodity the other commodity groups, copper, aluminum, iron ore, corn, all those have seen price come off pretty significantly. Lumber cut in half from the highs. So if oil follows that move, then I would expect SPY to roll over at least to a certain degree to follow that move down. And by the same token, if you see oil either accelerate to the upside or just maintain its steady upward path, I think that bodes well for SPY bulls as well. So let's get into it here. SPY 2-hour. Nice rising channel. We're in the upper half. We've got our measured move target off this double low at 428. We've got a little or a decent sized gap here to contend with if things roll over. But nice PPO profile, strong and rising, not threatening to roll over yet, and a nice RSI profile as well. So SPY from that standpoint looks good. Any kind of pullback into this larger gap, I would be a buyer at the top of the gap. And, if it fills, then, there's a chance that we revisit the bottom of the entire channel. And I think you got to stay bullish here. Even though there may be pullbacks along the way, I'd be looking for long entries rather than short entries. I mean, if you're an active two-way trader, you're always welcome to take a short, if price enters this gap and you say, okay, we got a $2 or $3 gap, whatever it is, we come down, we've got different support levels. You're always welcome to trade that. My point is, SPY is in bull mode, and if you can catch a tactical pullback, great, but be looking to cover at logical spots and then reverse long. So that would be my posture. And here on this exploded 30-minute view, you can see just been grinding higher. Got a good sized gap here at 424.75, and then we've got a little micro gap here right below 425.50. So this morning, if you're a super active trader, I would use this 426.25 as just a benchmark level to be long against. And if price were to break below, I see it probably coming back here to test this gap, but nothing majorly significant going on here in SPY. What I decided to do on the Qs and IWM this morning, instead of looking at the 2-hour, I want to show you the 4-hour charts on those indexes because I think it gives you a nice clean picture of what's going on. You know, we had a rising channel late last year. We had some corrective activity in March, came back up to this 342 high, backed off, and then have recently taken it out. We've got a nice rising channel on the 4-hour. And so we've broken out of a big range. What I mentioned on the blog site is that if you're a position or swing trader and for some reason you are not in the queues, and for some reason, whatever that reason may be, we get a back touch of the breakout back at 342.50, that would be a golden opportunity to get a second bite at the apple on the queues. Why? Because you've got all this support down below. We've broken out a back test of broken resistance becomes support. That's a move that happens all the time. We really haven't seen it to a large degree yet. I mean, yeah, we broke out and blah, 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 came back here, 4 hours later and had a touch. But what you'll often see is a clean breakout and then have them come back and re-tag this 342.50. And if you were, like I say, trading on the daily time frame or a position trader or want to make an adjustment in your IRA where you can just leave some things grind for a while, I would go out 3 or 6 months on an option trade if you were going to go the option route. And I would get longer dated calls against 342.50 and count on that holding. Of course, you're going to put a stop below because if price does come back into this range and we start seeing closes below 342.50, that's a bearish technical event. So if that were to happen, get closes down in here, then you want to back out of any long positions you have in the queues and either go neutral or get bearish depending on what your view is. But once we break out, back test is fine. That's a very objective place to get long. And if we were to break below, then you got to back out of that position. Here it is on the 30-minute chart. Nice rising channel. We visited near the top just the other day. We've backed off to a certain degree. We've got a gap below that we just talked about from, let's call it 349 to 347.75. And that also coincides with this bottom of this channel coming in. So if you get a move either back to the channel or complete fill, I would be trying to get long at the bottom of this gap if you were to get it. If we just come down, it may not fill the whole gap, may just come down to the bottom of the channel and get support there and bounce. But here at the bottom of the channel, I think odds are that we make a move at least back up to the midpoint, if not the high side of the channel over time. I'm still bullish on the Qs. We've had, and we'll talk about it a little later, but we've had Amazon wobble here the last few days, and we've had Apple wobble the last few days. But I think the FATMAAN names are going to power this higher. I do expect Amazon to, recover those losses. And hey, if they don't, the Qs are going to break. I mean, it's just as simple as that. If FATMAAN does not perform, this isn't going to work. So this has largely been, the FATMAAN mega cap tech names gathering themselves and having a real good past few weeks. So here again, On IWM, I wanted to show the 4-hour. Shows really well this move out of November on the vaccine news. We came up here, and now we've been consolidating in this $25 range for all of 2021, and now we're here at the top of the range. My comments would be exactly the same as it was for the Qs. If you're a daily or position swing type trader and you haven't been involved in any of this, now's the time to pay attention, because if we get a breakout here at 233, 234 and can hold it, all this becomes support, and then you can get long, 3 to 6 months out and look for a $25 measured move, which would put price up near 257.50, 260 range after this big consolidation. The flip side of that is that this is some, long topping structure. Price either breaks out here marginally and then fails and rolls back down to the bottom of the channel or bottom of the consolidation range and ultimately breaks. That would be mega bearish if this 207.50 were to break. And even if ultimately price cannot break out here at the highs and starts to roll over here, the bottom of the box would become the target. Of course, there's going to be a lot of intermediate targets in between. All I'm saying is when price gets to the top of the range, it's time for price to prove it, and it's time for price to break out. And if it can't, like on these other occasions, it's just going to roll over. It's either break out or roll over. There's not a lot of in between once you're at the top of the range. So even if you haven't been involved in IWM to any large degree, this is where you pay attention. And if you want to get long small caps, and remember, small caps are going to encompass the reopening trade, the cyclicals, the financials, the real economy names. I think those are going to do well into the third and fourth quarters of this year, just from a macro perspective. So I'm looking for this to break out, and I want you guys to be ready for that if we in fact get that breakout. For active traders here on IWM 30-minute, this final bar on Friday, there was a big rebalancing in the Russell. The larger cap names were promoted to the Russell 1000, and then you had a bunch of new names reconstitute the Russell 2000. And if you want to drill in, there's plenty of information on on the web, these ETF websites, where you can see which particular names got bumped up and what are the new names that are in the index. So you're free to take a look at that. But here for active traders, anything above 232 is going to be bullish. If price were to drop back below 232, could come all the way back in here to 230.50. So for active traders, if you got that break below 232, I think you can try a tactical short back here for a $1.50 move. That would probably be worthwhile. But then look to cover and have price reverse. Moving on to FATMAAN names. Kind of a soggy past couple of days, a little disappointing, but that's trading. Facebook, $8 trading range. We broke out. We made a push towards this measured move target of 346, backed off, and now we're hovering just above 340. I think you stay long, and I think you look for higher ground. daily time frame, guys, stay long against 338. If you're an active trader trying to catch these little rips and dips, I'd stay long against 340 and look for 346. You don't want to be long below 340 because then you're probably going to come back for that back test. And if you got that, I would certainly be hitting it long at 338. I think Facebook's going higher. Pretty much the same story with Apple. Woke up here, broke out from this 128 key level on the daily chart. Came up here to this 134.25 area, did not like that, backed off. Here, I think as long as it stays above 132.50, bulls are fine. If it loses 132.50, could see a couple dollars of backsliding back to 130.50. And for any newcomers to the site, first of all, welcome. But we've been watching Apple on the daily chart. Muscle memory here at 134.25, 134.50. If we can get a breakout there, I think we got an open path to 138. If you're a daily or position type trader, stay long against 128. We've got that breakout there. You could certainly, if you haven't done so already, if you're in options, roll your strikes up to 134. Make sure you bank this money and then stay long and root for a breakout above 138 and then to all-time highs at 144. Big move on Tesla. Came up here, tested 695, but then backslid about 1% on Friday. We've got a gap here to pay attention to. I think on the daily time frame, you can stay long against 640. Let's just show that chart real quick. Here was the breakout from the downtrend resistance. I think as long as you hold this downtrend resistance, longs are fine, and I'd be looking for 760 on the upside. So I still think this is a very good entry point for anybody on the daily time frame that wants to try a swing up here to 760. I think that's a really nice risk reward profile for that particular stock. Microsoft came up to 267, spent a lot of time there. I mean, it spent 4 hours right here at 267, could not take it out, and then backed off to 265. It's a bullish chart, consolidating this move here between 265 and 267. I think if you're an active trader, stay long against 265. If you were to lose 265 here this morning, I think there's a pretty good chance price would come in and backfill this for a back touch of this breakout at 262. That was the breakout, 262. So from a tactical standpoint, if you lost 265, you could be short against it and see if you got the back touch there. But if you weren't in and you got that back touch at 262, I would certainly be getting long there. And that would be my plan. I had short dated calls, so I didn't catch it right at the top. I closed in here, did okay, but obviously was hoping for the breakout to get paid a little bit better. But anyhow, got dinner money or whatever. So I'm going to watch this closely here this morning. Maybe get long against 265 and see if it can hold it and then break out 267. And if you're, for an active trader, or say you're trading on the 60-minute time frame, Monday is a great day if you want to try a weekly option on Microsoft or another name. Why? Because you got 5 days for it to work, and the time decay is not as severe as it would be trying to buy something Thursday for Friday. It's got to move in your direction so fast, and any kind of hesitation, you just get eaten alive. So let's just play that scenario. Let's say this morning Microsoft holds 265. You could buy a 265 call for Friday with a stop just below and stay long and not be afraid to hold it overnight, especially if you get a move up to 267. You could do one of two things. You could take your 265 and roll it higher to 267 and then just stay long for Friday, having put that money in the bank. Or you can just stay in your 265 and have a higher delta after this move up to 267 and then hope for the breakout tomorrow morning, and then you're golden and you'll be on your way. So anyways, just a little trading idea for you. Amazon has been a mystery to me. I don't know what the deal was here, but lost $100 in 2 days. Now it's flagging down here at support. I went ahead and dropped in the fib retracements in this gold orange color, and you can see that from a technical perspective, all we did was have a 38% fib pullback after this strong move. So from that perspective, happens all the time. What I want to see now, and I think the chart supports it, obviously there's buyers here at 3,400. Why? We came down and spent like 6 hours right here at 3,400. So active traders, you can be long against 3,400 and look for a run back up to 3,500. But if 3,400 doesn't hold, then you're back into looking at $50 a downside for a 50% halfback. And then if that doesn't hold, back down to 3,300. So stay on top of your toes. But this is a place where you'd expect a bounce, but you're ready if it doesn't, because it could certainly come back to this 3,350 or even 3,300 if things get wobbly. Google, strong chart, remains a strong chart. We just need to see the breakout here from 2,450 to get long if you're not long already, and then look for 2,500. We've had a couple baby false breakouts that haven't resulted in that $50 move we're looking for, but just continue to use 2,450 as your pivot. And as long as it can stay at this high or even break above, you can be long. I wouldn't want to see it break below this 2,435. Why? Because then I think you're coming back to 2,420 and probably even to 2,400 at the bottom of the box if it doesn't hold here at the top of the range. Netflix got an upgrade on Friday. I forget who it was. Got a push up here to 3,250, which is a location that we had on the chart, and then just oscillated the rest of the day. What I did was close out my long and reposition for July 2nd. I think I'm in 532.50s for Friday. So I'm looking for this to have a follow-up move, but if it rolls back into this gap, got to close it out, because this then will probably fill back to 517. And if you're in a weekly option, you're not gonna want to watch $10 disappear. That'll be tough to recover from. So I'm hoping this gap holds and we can break out above 532. But we're in the big gap, and if you're on a daily time frame, you just stay long against 515. We could come all the way back test that, and then go. But we're in the gap, and I'm looking for that gap to fill all the way up to 550 over time. And then lastly, let's wrap up here with the semis. I've chosen to redraw this a little bit differently and put all this action as a $10 price consolidation. We visited, spent some time here at the bottom. We've spent a lot of time up here at the top. So looking for a breakout above 256. And I think if we get that, we're going to ultimately go to 266. So if you didn't catch this bottom and you didn't participate in this move up here, I'd alarm 256. And if you get the breakout above, then you can get long the SMH semiconductor ETF and look for a move $10 higher. This little 258 target was from a different range. I mean, it's still a little benchmark level that I would look for as a T1, but I think ultimately if you get this breakout here, it'll be headed towards 260 and higher, probably towards that measured move of 266. Okay, what I've done on the blog this morning is post a technical update on all the ARK family, the ARK Financial, ARK Genomics, ARK Innovation, ARK Web, ARK Autonomous and Robotics. As interest rates have backed off from that, remember we had that 175 high on the 10-year a few weeks ago, and then they've been kind of fading that move. Well, ARK is highly levered or highly sensitive to those interest rates. And as long as interest rates remain pinned down, ARK is going to continue to do fine. And you'll see when you go and visit those charts that they've seen a good bounce, but are not really up near the highs yet. So I think even though you may say, oh, well, we missed the move, I still think there's opportunity there, especially if rates stay pinned down, modulated, stay in a narrow range, or fall further, that'll be fuel for ARK. And one thing I like about ARK is that, as we've discussed and as you know, she's in a lot of illiquid names, smaller, except for Tesla and a few others. A lot of her names are these small, high-growth names. They don't have particularly good option chains. Smaller companies. I think it's nice to trade those as a basket, whether it's the ARK Innovation with Tesla or, the genomics or financials. That's a convenient way if you don't want to drill down into the Squares and the PayPals and all the different names that are in her baskets, and you don't want to, manage 40 positions. I think ARK is a good way to go if you want to trade those different kind of baskets. And so you can go to the option chain and get a fairly liquid chain where you can get a good fill and then, trade it as a basket. So all those are posted on the website in this morning's blog post. So if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. I hope you benefited from seeing the levels and hearing my commentary. I think it'll help you in your execution. If you agree with me, hit the subscribe button and the alarm bell. You'll get all my content. And also over in the show notes, you'll not only find a link to the blog site where you can look at those ARK charts, but you'll also be able to access all the other content, trading psychology, etc. I think you'll find those very helpful. And of course, you'll also get a link to register for all my content. And if you do that, you'll get midday updates and trade ideas sent right to your mailbox. You won't have to hunt Twitter and the other places I post. You'll get it in a nice, neat package along with my thoughts. Longtime listeners, thanks for the support. Do me a solid and pass the link along to somebody in your trading group or repost it on social media. I really appreciate it. We're starting to get a little bit of traction out there and hope to push it further. So have a good day of trading. This has been Chris Buss with Traders Profit Compass. Talk to you next time.